we've seen already the innovative ways in which the United States is able to come up with drug therapies that can effectively treat and even eliminate this disease.
We talked about the coordinated effort that should and will occur between the county, the state, and the federal CDC.
Welcome back to State of Texas in Depth. A disease that just weeks ago seemed half a world away has found its way into the state political campaigns here in Texas. Both Wendy Davis and Greg Abbott talked about Ebola during a recent gubernatorial debate. This week, KXAN's Robert Hadlock sat down with the U.S. Senator John Cornyn of Texas, himself facing re-election. The topic on everyone's mind, Ebola.
With the Ebola situation with the patient here in Texas that just died, what do you think has been the public health response to that, your reaction to that?
Well, I know people are very concerned, and I'm very concerned that there's not been adequate screening of passengers traveling from West Africa to the United States. And so I've written to the Customs and Border Patrol Commissioner and asking for an update on more aggressive measures to screen people infected with the virus. The good news is that right now it can only be transmitted by bodily fluids, and given the proper protocols and procedures, such as we've seen observed here in Dallas, it should be contained. But certainly there's a concern long-term that this virus can replicate and eventually become airborne, which would be very, very serious.
Federal officials have said they were going to begin temperature screenings of passengers coming in from West Africa at 5 different airports, first at JFK, hopefully within this weekend.
Right.
Is that enough of a response, do you think? Well,
I noticed that there wasn't any Texas airport like the George Bush Airport in Houston or the DFW Airport and the Metroplex, and I'd be concerned about that because the problem is there are no direct flights from West Africa into the United States, but they go through these other airports and then come on indirectly. And so I think there needs to be additional screening precautions taken at other airports. I don't think we can be too careful.
Online at KXAN.com, Robert's full interview with Senator Cornyn about the upcoming election and the future of Republicans in Texas. Plus, you can watch his conversation with Democratic opponent Dr. David Alamil. State lawmakers are also concerned with the fight against Ebola in Texas. This week, the Senate Health and Human Services Committee discussed the state's response and public health needs. I spoke with the committee chair, Dr. Charles Schwertner of Georgetown. What type of legislation could you see coming out of what you learned today?
A reevaluation and a fine-tuning of the collaboration, coordination, leadership structure of our public health entities, the Department of State Health Services, and how it interacts with the counties and the local health authorities.
Coming up, we break down the state's response to the Ebola threat with our roundtable. Dr. Philip Wong from the Texas Medical Association's Committee on Infectious Diseases, and also Jay Root with our media partner, the Texas Tribune. Next on State of Texas in Depth.